My name is Alice. I'm currently parked on this faded sofa, trying to stitch together the mess that my so-called family life turned into. You know, before all this, I was living the typical 9-to-5 grind. I mean, marketing isn't exactly a thrill ride, but it was my thrill ride. Enter Jack. Dear old Jack. We were college sweethearts. That's what they call it, right? We did the whole dance, meeting at some random party, him spilling his drink and charming me with his red-faced apologies. Fast forward, love blooms, and marriage seemed like the right next step. He was some hotshot coding genius, had a nice gig as a software engineer. And things were sweet, smooth even. Then Charlie happened. Our little bundle of sleepless nights and toothless grins. So, I hung up my marketing hat and decided to go all in on this housewife gig. That meant I had more time to start picking up on the nuances of Jack's moods, especially when Linda, the Lord Almighty mother-in-law, rained down her opinions via Skype. Never met her in person, but damn, she sure did like to make her presence felt from a few hundred miles away. You need to put your foot down, Jack. Linda's voice would slice through the speakers. A man's home is his castle, and don't you forget it. I'd see how Jack's eyes shifted, shoulders squared like he was gearing up for war. After the call, he became a different guy. If I left a mug on the counter or dared to sit down before the clock hit acceptable by his newly acquired standards, boy, would I get it. It's not a hotel, Alice. You see that? That's a dish out of place. His words felt like cold steel, not the Jack I knew. Jack would flip from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde and back before you could say schizophrenia. But it wouldn't stick. Once Linda's echo faded, I'd get my Jack back. On this particular Tuesday, Jack had that look in his eyes, that unnerving glint that always showed up post-Linda. He ambled into the kitchen, my domain, and leaned against the fridge with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Hey, babe, you need to pick up the pace around here. Mom said. I cut him off, hands deep in dough. If Linda says jump, we asking how high now? Not funny. She's right. We won't raise Charlie in a mess. I mean, look at this place. I followed his pointing finger around our perfectly tidy kitchen. The nerve of him. I thought about giving Jack a piece of my mind, but my mother always said to pick my battles, and with Jack on a Linda-fueled bender, it didn't feel like a winnable war. Suddenly, the sound of Linda's screechy tone popped from the living room. Another Skype alert. My stomach dropped. Come on, Alice. It's Mom. Watch the attitude. My eyes nearly rolled out of my skull. I wiped my hands and prepared to face the screen, our digital overlord. And there she was, in all her pixelated glory. Alice, dear, I see you're busy, but remember, Jack works hard. Keep that home nice for him, won't you? I gritted my teeth. Of course, Linda. Nothing but the best for your boy. Jack flashed me a warning look, like be nice or else. But as Linda carried on about her expectations, I swear I felt something in me start to crack. Would this ever end? Or was I destined to live under the thumb of a woman who wasn't even in the room? On a Thursday that felt like any other, with Charlie fussing in my arms and the smell of yesterday's dinner still haunting the living room, Jack came out with it. We're spending Christmas with my mom in her house, he said, not even looking up from his phone. I paused, Charlie's pacifier halfway to salvation. Christmas there? With Linda? The words were sour, just hanging in the air. Jack finally glanced up, eyebrow raised. Yep, good for the family and all that. High time they all met Charlie, don't you think? Pulling at the edge of my shirt, already spotted with who knows what, I frowned. But Charlie's so young, and I'm not up for a road trip, especially in December. He shrugged, scrolling through something undoubtedly important. Babe, it'll be fine. A bit of cold won't hurt him. Besides, Mom's already planning the whole thing. Heat flared up in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. Doesn't sound like a question, Jack. Did you even consider my say in this? Come on, Alice. It's not up for debate. This is what families do. They get together for the holidays. I shot him a look that could have burned toast. And usually, they ask, not announce, I snapped. He pocketed the phone and came over, trying to play peacemaker. Hey, I know it's sudden, but think about it. Could smooth things out with Mom. I laughed, but there was no joy in it. Smooth things out? You mean playhouse the Linda way or no way? Jack winced. That's not fair. You know how much she's been bugging me about visiting. I handed him Charlie, who seemed hellbent on testing his lungs. She's not the one who has to pack up an infant and deal with your family's drama. Jack bounced Charlie on his knee, a whisper of a smile on his face. It'll be like an adventure. You love adventures, remember? That's when the mom glare I'd been perfecting hit him full force. Adventures don't involve feeding schedules and diaper bags. But Jack had that determined look that spelled trouble. We're going, Alice. End of discussion. I let out a long sigh, nerves frayed. Fine, but hear this, Jack. We're not going there to be pushed around. I'm serious. He nodded, but there was a trace of something else there. And I won't remember saying yes to this kind of look. And you're gonna help, right? With the packing, the baby, and dealing with your mom? Yeah, of course, he said, though he was already picking up his phone again. With a defeated grunt, I moved to start making a list of what to take. Booties, blankets, and the battle gear needed to survive a week with Linda. The moment we stepped into Linda's house, a looming structure that seemed straight out of a ghost story with its creaky floorboards and chilly drafts, I knew we were in for a ride. A sea of faces turned our way, Jack's aunts and uncles, cousins by the dozen, and the venerable queen herself, Linda, holding court. Her eyes skimmed over me like a scanner, resting on our sleeping Charlie, wrapped snug in his blanket. There's my grandbaby, she exclaimed, her arms outstretched, with a warmth that almost felt real. But as she lifted her gaze to meet mine, the temperature could have dropped 10 degrees. Alice, she nodded, begrudging respect at best. Jack cleared his throat. Mom, thanks for having us. The room was buzzing with relatives chatting and the scent of cinnamon and pine. But the festive cheer didn't reach Linda's eyes when she turned back to me. Hope the drive wasn't too terrible. Roads can be unforgiving this time of year. It was all right, I returned with a tight smile, clutching Charlie a little closer. Well, let's not stand here catching a chill. Alice, Linda continued, and the entire room seemed to hold its breath. I would really appreciate it if you could take the lead getting the place shipshape for Christmas. Jack shot me a desperate play nice look while I struggled to find words. Me? But, I've got Charlie too. Linda waved a hand dismissively. Oh, there will be plenty of hands eager to dote on the boy. Besides, I've seen your Instagram. You've got a knack for this sort of thing. My Instagram, the place where I posted meticulously filtered photos of our home that hid the chaos of reality? I gritted my teeth and forced another smile. I guess I can give it a go. A look of approval crossed Linda's face, one that didn't reach her eyes. So I dug into box after box of holiday decor, feeling more like Cinderella than a welcomed guest. Jack's family was a loud chorus of advice and backseat decorating, all while passing Charlie around like the season's hottest toy, a living, breathing doll for them to coo over. Jack vanished into the belly of the house, with only the odd shout of "How's it going there?" or "Mom says the garland should go higher," to remind me he was still there. By the time dinner rolled around, the grand old house glittered and shone like something out of a fairy tale where the fairy godmother had taken the day off and left Cinderella to do all the work herself. At the table, loaded with more food than the whole neighborhood could eat, Jack raised his glass in a toast. To family, he said, smiling. I caught a wink he sent his mother's way. I tried to match their cheer, but fatigue had long since taken the wheel. Jack noticed, but not with the sympathy I needed. You could have put a bit more tinsel up, he remarked offhandedly between bites. Mom noticed. After a long night chasing the elusive spirit of Christmas at the behest of Linda's pointed directions, all the while keeping a smile plastered on my face for the sake of holiday peace, I retired to our room. Next day I found Jack in what they called the den, but it was more like a wild man cave where Christmas seemed to have thrown up. There he was, sprawled on the couch, a beer in one hand, eyes glued to some game on TV. The sound of sports commentators filled the room. "Jack, we need to talk." My voice was firm, louder than I intended. He glanced up, annoyed at being interrupted. "What's up now?" "It's about yesterday, about everything since we got here." "I'm tired, Jack. And I feel alone in all this." The words spilled out. He scoffed. "Alone? With all my family around? Come on, Alice. You've got to toughen up. This is the big leagues." "I'm not talking about numbers, Jack. Look, your mom, she's piling everything on me, and where are you? Off the grid the second any work pops up." He rolled his eyes. "Not this again. Just do what she says, Alice. That's how it works around here. You'll live." Frustration boiled over. "I'm not one of your mom's robots, Jack. I'm your wife, and I'm asking for your help. It's like you don't get it." He let out a laugh. "Help? What do you want me to do? Decorate cookies? Hang tinsel? That's kid stuff. Just stick it out." His words stung. "Kid stuff? Really? Because last I checked, we're a family too. Or is that kid stuff as well?" Jack stood up, his face getting redder. "Watch your tone, Alice. Don't start something." The room felt smaller, the walls closer. "Start something? No, I'm finishing it, this conversation and your damn free ride." "What's your deal, Jack? Too good to help out your own wife?" He moved towards the door of the den. "I've had enough of this. You knew what you were getting into when you married me. Remember that." I followed him. "Yeah, I remember, promises. Support. Respect. Heard of them?" But he was already out the door, leaving me talking to a room full of silent trophies and blinking lights. The next day, there wasn't much change. The family was all over the place, and I was still the designated workhorse. Jack avoided me, getting tight with his cousins, laughing too loud over beers and football. I worked, hardly speaking to anyone, especially not Jack. I was too angry, too worn out. And Charlie, bless him, seemed to sense the tension, becoming fussier with each passing hour. In the middle of a diaper change, Charlie crying and clutching at me, one of Jack's aunts walked in. She didn't knock, just barged in with a bucket of soiled linen. "Here you go. Add it to the laundry when you can." I looked at her, then at the laundry. "I can't right now. Can't you see?" She raised her eyebrows, surprisingly bold. "It's just laundry, dear. Plus, that's what you're here for, isn't it? To help out?" I straightened up, holding Charlie tight against my chest. "Just because I married Jack doesn't mean I'm the family maid." She frowned, her own patience wearing thin. "Don't be so sensitive. We all do our part here." "Yeah. When's Jack's turn?" Her face turned sour. "Jack? He's catching up with family." "Catching up?" My voice rose over Charlie's cries. "Is that what you call it?" She left without another word, but her message was clear, this was on me. I was on my own. I had to shove my way through the crowded store on Christmas Eve, grabbing whatever was left on the shelves. Didn't matter much what it was, anything could be turned into a Christmas dish with enough butter and salt, or so I figured. My phone was buzzing in my pocket the whole time, probably Jack or Linda wondering where I'd got to. But I was too frazzled to answer. Back at the house, I lugged the grocery bags through the snow, my arms about to fall off. Nobody came out to help, of course. I dumped the bags in the kitchen and rolled up my sleeves. The turkey wasn't going to cook itself. The oven felt like a furnace on my face, the heat mixing with my frustration into a kind of steam. As the gravy simmered and the pie crust started to brown, I felt my head spin. I took a seat for a quick breather. Linda stumbled upon me as if I'd planned it, her face twisting into a scowl. "What's this? Just sitting around while there's work to be done?" Before I could gather my wits to answer, Jack appeared behind her, his tone sharp. "Yeah, Alice, what's the deal? We got a timetable here." "I just needed a second," I said, the room tilting a little. "I'm not feeling too." "Oh, save it." Linda cut me off. "This family needs team players, not weaklings. If you can't handle it, maybe you shouldn't be here." Jack didn't say a word in my defense, just stood there nodding like a puppet. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I wouldn't let them see. "I'm not weak," I shot back, pushing up from the chair. "And I don't need this crap, not from you or anyone." Jack's face grew hard. "Watch it, Alice, or you'll be out of here so fast." He let the threat hang between us, heavy as the smell of roasting meat. I bit back a sob, threw on the apron, and turned back to the stove. They left, satisfied that I'd been put in my place. But later that night, after the plates were licked clean and the presents opened, after the laughter and the carols had quieted down, I lay in bed, the silent tears finally falling. They thought I was the weak one, but it was them, all of them. Weak for not helping, weak for not seeing, weak for not caring. Christmas dinner was set up like some kind of fancy spread you'd see in a magazine, except there was one thing off: my seat. It was away from the main table, like I had some sort of disease. I could hear them all, the clinking glasses and the loud laughs from where I was put. I sat there for a moment, staring at the untouched plate. A dry turkey slice stared back at me, the cranberry sauce bleeding into the stuffing like a bad joke. That's when I knew I was done. Finished playing pretend. Charlie was upstairs, asleep in one of the guest rooms. No way was I going to have my kid grow up thinking this nonsense was normal. I stood up, my chair screeching against the floor, louder than I expected. I didn't care. I went upstairs, packed the bags I'd been living out of for what felt like forever, zipped up Charlie's little backpack with his favorite toy and the picture book we read every night. Downstairs, the laughter ticked up a notch. They didn't even see me hauling our lives out of there in 2 trips. The walk to the train station was brutal, the cold cutting through my coat. But each step tugged a little something off my shoulders, a weight I didn't want to carry. At the station, it was empty, the kind of quiet you only get when everyone's at home. I sat there on the bench, Charlie bundled up beside me. "No more of that for us, Charlie," I whispered to him, hoping he was dreaming of something nice, something simple. "Just you and me now." The train rolled in, a lonely hunk of metal that blew hot air out the sides. I picked up Charlie, still asleep, and stepped inside the warmth. The clang of the closing door marked the end of an era as I lugged my bag out of what used to be home. The small bundle that was my baby dozed quietly in my arms, blissfully unaware of the turmoil surrounding us. It was just the 2 of us now, heading into the great unknown. I remember stuffing onesies and diapers haphazardly into the bag. There were no pictures taken off the walls. No second looks. Just the essentials for him and a few clothes for me. Every grab, every zip, felt like a tiny rebellion. Pulling into my parents' driveway was like stepping into a world paused at the brink of joy. They rushed out, my mom's arms wide, my dad's face split with a grin beneath his old, faded cap. "Alice, baby, come in. It's freezing out here." Mom smothered us in one of her bear hugs, the kind that could squeeze the sorrow straight out of your soul, while Dad took care of the bag and the base for the baby carrier. The warmth of the house hit me like a mug of hot cocoa. They had the Christmas tree twinkling, the lights blinking in a slow, sleepy pattern. We settled into the living room, and before I knew it, my mom had a steaming plate of food in front of me and a stocking filled with baby rattles and teething rings. It felt unreal. Laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to the thick silence I'd escaped. The baby stirred in arms, and I kissed him, promising silently that it was going to be different. We were just about to toast, the clink of our glasses ready to sing, when my phone rang, jarring against the melodies of Jingle Bells. I checked the caller ID, Jack. Hello? Alice, where the hell are you? It was Jack, his voice a cocktail of anger and confusion. At my parents'. Where else would I be? I said, not missing a beat. There was a pause, and then, you need to come back. This isn't your home anymore. I snorted, the laughter bubbling up from deep within, genuine and loud. You're joking, right? I'm done with being treated like I'm invisible until you need something. Don't be dramatic. Just get back here. Everyone's asking about you, the dishes are piling up, I cut him off. Look, listen carefully because I'm only going to say this once. I'm filing for divorce. Got it? I'm not your unpaid maid, Jack, never was. I don't know what made you think I was. The other end of the phone was silent. Then, the dial tone buzzed in my ear. He'd hung up. Mom was looking at me, eyes wide. I hung up the phone and met her gaze straight on. I should have done that years ago, I said. You're staying here tonight, Mom said, solid and sure, the way she'd said things when I was a kid and the world was too big and scary. Yeah, I agreed, feeling the truth in her words. Yeah, I am. Charlie's laughter filtered through from the other room. Let's go celebrate Christmas, I said with a trembling smile. And with the click of the phone, I sealed the decision in the pocket of my jeans, and stepped back into the warmth of the living room where the promise of a peaceful night hung gently in the air, a stark contrast to the storm I had just weathered. Waking up to the same old ceiling crack had become kind of a comfort. The kitchen was already buzzing when I came down. Mom was at the stove, and Dad was half buried in newspaper at the table. Charlie was making a go at a slice of toast, more crumbs decorating his lap than making it into his mouth. Morning, I mumbled, grabbing the pot to pour myself some coffee. Before I got the chance to take a sip, the phone was blaring its old ring from the wall. Dad's eyes met mine. With a hint of a smirk, I answered it, knew who it was before I even said hello. Alice, darling, I need you to come back. Jack's voice came through, half pleading, half like he was ordering a pizza. A man needs his wife. I need you to take care of things here. I almost choked on air, the laugh came out so hard. Jack, honey, you lost the right to need anything from me. But nothing, Jack. I'll send over the divorce papers by the end of the week. You can take care of yourself, or find someone else to boss around. Have a nice life. And with that, I hung up. Mom was staring at me, one eyebrow raised. Everything all right? She asked, a knowing look on her face. Couldn't be better, I said, finally taking that sip of coffee. It was bitter, strong, and hot, just how I needed it. As weeks turned into months, that new chapter in life I'd opened became less about what I'd left behind and more about what was ahead. Divorce papers were signed, delivered, and done with. My bank account got a little heavier with the first round of alimony checks, child support Jack called it, but let's be real, it was guilt money. Either way, it was for Charlie, and that's all that mattered. The job hunt wasn't easy, wasn't hard either. Just a truckload of maybes and a handful of not. One day, sitting at the kitchen table with the want ads, I couldn't help but wonder if begging for jobs was just begging to go back to a life like the one I had with Jack. No, that wasn't for me, not anymore. Why the long face? Dad asked, scrunching up his own as he looked over at me from his chair. Just thinking about work, or the lack of it. You'll find something, he said. You got more backbone than half the blokes at the factory. They should be begging you to work, not t'other way round. That night, with Charlie snoozing away in his crib, I lay awake a little longer than usual, the house quiet except for the distant sound of Mom and Dad talking softly downstairs. Maybe it wasn't the new start I'd imagined, with a new place of my own and a sparkling career. But it was solid ground under my feet. It was my family, my boy, and a future that was mine to shape. No more of Jack's dark clouds on my horizon, no more dancing to someone else's tune.